All right, tell me what you have for breakfast.
She was born in
Bowl cereal.
Bowl cereal. Okay.
She was born in a one-room cabin on the banks of the Little Pigeon River in Pittman Center, Tennessee.
Dude, who is it from? There's a famous female country singer from Winchester.
Loretta Lynn?
That's a harder question.
There's not that many famous people from Winchester. You could probably find it.
No, there's probably two, and I've forgotten the one that I'm supposed to know.
Country musician, specifically?
Female country musician.
The current, or like Dolly
sort of
era?
classic style. Yeah,
All right.
definitely not current. Listen, we could Google all day, fellas. But yeah, I'll do a proper intro for you guys.
I didn't know if you did this like Mark Maron style, where you just like started recording and didn't tell them.
There's another one that does that. The Nerdist does that too, right? They
Yeah.
start recording and
Do
then
they?
they just like play it. And
So when do we start recording? Oh, we've been
well,
going for 20 minutes.
we've been going. And you said some inappropriate
Wait.
stuff.
Should I start now? Start now?
But you know, I was telling you guys before we started, I saw you guys 2 years ago at Yoga Jam. It was actually my first time at Yoga Jam,
Yeah.
and I just showed up, like was teaching yoga, and then I was like, I want to teach at this festival, and this band is awesome. And what I really liked about what you guys were doing was your playful nature, and the fact that like, and the music, like the tuning in of all the different pieces, like the mandolin, the flute. You guys are playing with a
Flute today.
a
Yeah.
flutist, a flautist,
Flautist.
a flautist. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I really
How do
enjoyed
you say
about
a person who plays piano?
pianist.
There we go.
I know that one.
Sweet.
Though I teach 8th grade, bro. Like the kids, as soon as they figure out that that's a thing, and half of the kids play piano because they're all trying to get into nice colleges. But I'm curious because one of my favorite songs of y'all's was "Places I've Been." When I saw you guys here,
Did we play that 2 years ago?
I don't even know. I don't recall because I was just dancing. I was just having a good time.
Probably didn't play it live 2 years ago because I was, with all the dancing crowd, it would have been a pretty big donor.
So that's the thing, and so that's what I was thinking about. And then the song that I'm doing all right, and then the other one that I just listened to today, it's skipping my mind. It's the most recent
Back
one.
of the Line?
Back of the Line. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Back of the Line, which like I reckon you guys were writing during
I wrote
COVID,
that during
right?
during the quarantine last year.
Right, and so it's a beautiful song, and it's like, I'm worried about losing the people I love and the
Sure.
things that we had,
Of course.
and the playful nature that you guys cultivate on stage. Like, how does that juxtapose with some of these more serious songs? Like, how do you get into, like, because you can't play that everywhere, you know what I mean, all the time.
Play what everywhere? What do you mean?
The serious song?
Those serious songs. Like, so I'm not a musician, though I wish I were. And so as a yoga teacher, I can see the room and I can see like what people are up to and what they're interested in and what they're looking for. And I'm curious, like, where is the space for that? Because it's such a beautiful song and I want people to hear it. But like, we're going to be grooving tonight. Like, I'm
Sure.
looking forward to the show tonight.
Well, first of all, I have a whole lot of songs that are about like heavy topics, but
Yeah.
they're disguised by upbeat music.
Yeah.
And there's a song called Down that we play that's like a acoustic reggaeton song, and like everyone would be dancing if we played it, but it's totally about killing yourself.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so
10 Long Years. That's another one that's got like a couple of tones in there that
10
are
Long
like.
Years is about a couple that's something tragic happened to the family, probably
But
lost a kid.
the tune of it is like,
It's
it feels
upbeat,
good. You know
you
what
know?
I mean? Yeah.
And to me that's fun because that means that there's different takeaways from a song. It can be an upbeat song that you can dance to, but it also can be a song that you can play acoustically, and it means something entirely different
Yeah.
than playing with a full band in a festival atmosphere.
Yeah.
By myself, that song, people can take away a more emotional aspect of it. But when we're playing shows, to combat the fact that we have a lot of heavy lyrics in these songs, I try to be entertaining between.
Dude, the
songs.
energy's crazy. Like, that's the thing I love is like this super playfulness, and like there's this thing that you do. It's sort of like you kind of break the fourth wall, and you're like, go Josh, and like you're like really like talking to your band in a way that I don't see many other singers do. And
We,
so, like,
we have to be on call in case he's like, I want to hear some mandolin. I go, all right.
it's like, give me some mandolin, bro. And
Honestly,
like,
I think that's to Josh's dismay. I think like, there have been times in the last couple of years, truthfully, where Josh has been like, maybe you shouldn't yell out all of the orchestrated commands.
you're like, give me
throughout
some
the show."
more. Like, Like I really noticed that because last week I watched that YouTube video that you guys have where the entire audience had filmed everything. Who cut that, by the way? Who put that together? Because it was like,
Oh, the
do you know what I'm talking
the
about?
Tiny Desk video.
Oh yeah. So 2 years ago, my
was our last show,
my
right?
Friend Joe, my friend Joe and I did that together. We edited together. But that was our very last club gig before the quarantine.
Was
That
it really?
Done on February 28th of 2020 at a small venue in DC called DC9, and that was our Tiny Desk contest submission. I was trying to come up with
I remember
an
this
idea.
now. Yeah, okay.
And like that day, I was like, what if I had the audience do it? And so that evening for our final song, Josh, you remember, like I literally said to the crowd, guys, we're gonna unplug and we're gonna walk into the audience, and everyone surround us, take out your phones. It's like it's not very often where a band is asking people to take out their phones.
No,
Usually
no.
we want them.
It's like,
please
dude,
put your
don't-
phones away,
yeah,
be
dude.
a part of the emotional
Yeah.
moment. But it's like, take out your phones. Here's my email, Justin Trawick at Gmail. Film it and then email me the footage. And yeah, I think we had. Am I being attacked by bugs?
Yeah.
There's bees out here because the henna tent, at the end of getting henna, apparently I was talking to one of my teacher trainees, and they spray you with sugar water afterwards. I have no idea why henna needs sugar water at the end, but like it's late summer day, it's like they're looking to eat some henna. But
So we did that, and it actually turned out really, really
dude,
well.
it turned out so well. It was
NPR
really
even-
impressive.
Yeah, NPR even like featured it in one of their blogs, which is really cool.
Yeah, you guys have been featured everywhere.
Did you see the video I did for this year's Tiny Desk contest?
I did not.
Oh God.
Oh, the one where you eventually have to watch it. If you're
Yeah.
listening, you have to watch it.
Okay.
My friend has a animal farm in Luckett's, Virginia, which is
I know Luckett's.
just past Leesburg,
Mhm.
and she's got sheep, goats, ducks, chickens. And I feel like I'm missing something, but
Many critters.
But her name is Dorothy. Her husband's name is
Shouts out to
Kurt.
Dorothy.
And
Kurt.
they let me do a video with their sheep.
Oh no, I did see this. I did see this.
you
Oh,
saw
you
it?
guys got to YouTube this. Don't spoil it. Like you guys got to see this. It is a awesome video. Like what would they search? Trawick
Justin
sheep.
Trawick and sheep.
Dude, I forgot
Normally
that.
that sounds like a terrible search.
No, yeah, right, yeah. Don't search. Maybe search it, but definitely search it. I remember seeing that, and I showed it to my wife. I was like watching it in bed. I was like, babe, you got to see this. This is the guy that we saw their band in Yoga Jam like 2 years ago. I remember that. Yeah, that was all. Go Google that. Search that, people. That one's. How was that for you? And it was just
awesome. That
you,
was like a
wasn't
one
it?
yeah, it was just me. It was a one take thing.
You did it
know.
in one take.
Well, I mean, you can only feed sheep once.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, there's a little teaser, a little foreshadow for you guys. Sheep will be fed, and Justin Trawick is involved in
I
some
was very
way.
worried about my health of my guitar.
I would be too.
I did not think about bringing a stunt guitar. If I ever did that again, I probably would have brought a much cheaper guitar.
He doesn't even want us to touch that guitar, and we're in the band.
Yeah, I was reading. So, I didn't notice this, but you intentionally use a smaller Martin.
I used to. I don't have one
Is that-
anymore.
that's just an old article I read.
Now I have. Well, it's still a small guitar, but I used to play the one that was made famous by Ed Sheeran. It was
Okay.
like the little. It was literally called a Little Martin. It's smaller than small, and but now I have a Martin 0015 that I beat the hell out of, and it's still small, but not comically small.
Yeah.
I think when I was here 2 years ago, I was playing the comically small guitar.
Yeah.
I think.
Probably.
It's kind of a fun little thing. Like,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, here's
and
a guy,
I actually lucked
tiny
out. It
guitar.
actually sounded really. It was a very good sounding guitar.
yeah, that sounds amazing.
But it made me look silly.
Yeah. But that's on purpose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, the rest of your band plays tiny instruments, so.
Yeah, you got a
it made us-
you got a mandolin.
I got a mandolin. We got a. Well, today we have a flute player. Sometimes we have a fiddle player.
Did I see a picture of somebody doing something interesting? It almost looked like a wash tub bass. You guys did a festival
Yes.
recently, right? You did
That was Mike.
something
with his
Appalooza,
so
right?
yeah, Appaloosa.
Appaloosa. Shouts out to Appaloosa. I don't know anything about that festival.
Appaloosa Festival is a festival that was created by the band Scythian, which is a very well-known Celtic rock band based in DC, but
Okay.
touring the country now. And I think that they've done their festival for about 5 or 6 years.
It's in
and
Appalachia, I reckon, right?
It's in Front Royal, Virginia.
Oh, I used to teach. That's where I started teaching. Was Front Royal. I used to live in Front Royal.
And
okay, cool.
It's awesome. It's great. When we did it 2 years ago, we actually did it the day after we played here 2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
And we went back. Wait, why are we talking about this? I've already
Because
the bass.
because there was a curious
so
bass that I just saw a picture of, but I didn't
Mike-
see video of it, somebody playing it.
Mike, who's currently yogaing somewhere,
Shouts out to Mike. Hey, good for him doing a little
he
yoga.
built a bucket bass
Mm-hmm.
with a headstock of a regular bass,
Mm-hmm.
but going into like a wash tub bucket.
Yeah. That's old school stuff.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, it's like, Mike, you ought to sell those. He was like, Justin, you know how much work it took to make this one singular bucket bass?
So, yeah, man. I've seen people do the steel bass drum or bass, like that sort of setup. Except, did he have a plastic one? Is that what the move was?
No, it's like a
metal.
real
There was whiteness
aluminum.
involved. I don't know.
Well, it's like a almost like a trash can, like a
Yeah.
metal trash can maybe
Yeah.
or
Hey,
bucket.
creativity. I like
I don't
that.
know. It's modular. He can like disassemble it
Yeah.
and take it on the road with him.
Yeah.
almost
You're not
brought
gonna
it
you're gonna
today.
find a case for that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So you were saying that. So before we started, you said that Josh, you've known him. You guys have known each other for a long. What's the setup? Like, how do you
gosh.
guys know each other?
Josh and I met on Craigslist.
Okay.
That's actually true.
Were there sheeps and feedings involved?
No sheep. I had another band in DC, sort of like a funky-ish blues band. We were looking for a lead singer. We put an ad out.
What's your band called?
Our band was called 10 Feet Tall.
Yeah.
Go
We're
ahead,
not
10
we're not a
Feet
thing
Tall.
anymore, but we played for a long time. But Justin answered the ad and he said, "I don't really want to be your lead singer, but we should do some shows together."
Okay.
So we
Well,
did.
I did answer. I did. I initially emailed because I was interested. But I think that there was a quick exchange of like, well, maybe this is
Yeah, just the music didn't
Yeah.
quite match up.
right. But yeah.
But-
we did start playing shows
Yeah,
together.
and he started inviting me to like sit in with him. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I got a show this weekend. You should come like play a song. And then it was like, hey, I got a show this weekend. You should come play a set.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, we have a show this weekend.
Yeah. Now it's
Yeah.
our show now.
And I was in the band, and I'm not even sure how that happened, but I was in the band.
Yeah, there was never really a moment where we're like, here, sign here. You're in the
No.
band. It's just band by osmosis.
Yeah. Serendipity, man.
But that was
Beautiful
like
things happen on
2006.
Craigslist.
Yeah, 2006-ish,
Yeah, and
5 or 6.
I would say, the guy that's playing bass with us now, his name is Mike, and Mike has been avidly playing with us now for the last 2 years. But before Mike, there is a gentleman named Gene, and Gene probably will still play with us in the future. But like, I'm sure that you know plenty of people, and maybe even yourself. Like during the pandemic, when we've all been quarantined at home, people kind of like
Oh yeah.
kind of figured their life and
Yeah.
what they want to do. And
Mhm.
he lived in Front Royal, and didn't really want to make the drive to DC anymore. As much as he had been doing in the past, he was really liking living in Front Royal. So we met Mike, but I think I knew Josh before I knew, or Gene before I knew you.
By like a few months.
Yeah.
Probably.
So
I'm always
it was-
curious about band chemistry because so what I do is like a public school teacher and a yoga teacher. It's very much like I'm just a person on stage doing my thing, whether it's in a classroom or like the classes I taught today. And I couldn't imagine having to articulate like, and I'm not trying to like dig into like, like what it's like to work with other people,
Take it away.
but I'm totally a solo guy. You know what I mean? I really prefer to kind of just be out in space doing things.
So, I mean, Justin's really easy to work with because he basically lets the rest of the band do whatever they want
Yeah, cool.
and trusts us that it's going to sound all right.
It sounds great, man. I'm really looking forward to y'all's show, man. So I don't think we talked about this in the podcast. How did you guys end up at Floyd Yoga? You guys don't do you? So you said your bassist, he's doing yoga. You guys don't do you yoga?
When I was in, have you ever done yoga?
I've never done yoga. I've
Ever,
thought
no.
about it, but I've never actually taken the plunge.
Before we started recording, Justin was like, "Is this a yoga podcast? Like, what do you talk about?" I've never asked that question to any guest on my entire podcast. But we're at a yoga festival, so it just made sense. But
Well, I mean, you're literally your Instagram handle is like Aaron Yoga.
I know. Well, dude, the thing is, I don't know. I'm terrible at branding. I don't know. You guys are better at it than me. In fact, I have your sticker on my cooler in my van. So, but how did you guys end up at a yoga festival? Just like looking for places. I mean, I guess it's not necessarily even a yoga festival. It's Yoga Jam. So it's like the jam is part of it, right?
There's a woman whose name is Erin Sun who don't stop what she's doing, but she's actually standing right behind you, and she's
Nobody look.
And she has a company called Eat Yoga Drink.
Okay.
and I think it's called a yoga drink. And she recommended.
She'll say it in the comments.
She recommended us for
Justin.
2 years ago playing here. I'm going to be very honest. This is a time for honesty.
This is
and
vulnerability.
openness.
We're here. We're real.
I feel perpetually terrible for what happened 2 years ago, because 2 years ago, I told you we played Appaloosa. She had gotten us into Floyd Yoga Jam, and we were going to play, and I was also going to do like the backing musician for one of her classes that you've seen. And after that, a couple months later, we got asked to do Appaloosa the next day after our performance, which would have totally competed with playing her class. And I asked her for permission if I could bow out of that so that we could do this big festival. That was a great opportunity, but I've perpetually for like 2 years going on now, I've felt terrible.
Well, listen, man,
which is why we're currently whispering.
if yoga teaches anything, it's to let go, right? You can't hold those things, right? Especially if you've had conversations, you know what I mean. Sort of.
Yeah.
I see the musk in your eyes right now.
No, I feel awful. And it's like,
well, I'm glad
I want her to listen to this later.
So the 2019 was y'all's first festival here.
It was the first time here.
And it was a banger, man.
And we were supposed to be here the next year, but of course, no one was anywhere.
Nobody was anywhere. Yeah, we were all in our homes.
What were you doing last year?
I was traveling the country. My wife and I, she's a public school teacher as well. So you know how people like take vans and turn them into tiny homes?
You can work from anywhere.
I can work. I could. Well, actually, no, I couldn't have, because we were doing like a hybrid kind of thing.
Yeah.
But during the summer, so like during the school year, I was just telling Josh before we started, I was doing like sort of a hybrid thing where I had an iPad. I was teaching an iPad of like 20-some kids, and then a classroom of 7 kids because they were distance and smaller numbers. This year, luckily, it's changed because people are getting vaccinated, and you know what I mean. So we'll see how long that lasts.
So did you retrofit like a conversion van?
Yeah. So I took a van. I bought it. Looked like just a blank plumber's van, and then learned everything on YouTube. And it's like I got a queen bed. I got a shower. I got a stove. I mean, it's like
awesome.
Wait, hold on. Tell us about your shower. It's not obviously in
van
the
shower.
No, it is. Yeah. Yeah. So
plumbing.
So you're in the front seat of a van. The entire back is blank. Okay. Behind the driver's seat, I built like 2 walls that are roughly this width apart, all the way up to the ceiling.
That's 3 feet for those watching on television.
Yeah. For those of you listening, I'm gesturing with my hands. And so it's enough for me to fit a composting toilet in, which is not nearly as gross as you think it is. Like in your head, you're like, this is terrible. It's not. And then it's a shower. And so like last summer, to your question,
it's a seated kind of shower situation.
No, you take the toilet out. And so it's got like hoses to like exhaust and a power cord. You pop that out, take a shower, man. And so we did about 10,000 miles last summer.
I feel like that was the only way your wife was gonna.
It was 100% the only way my wife was willing to do that. It was 100%. I was like,
we'll do it if there's a shower.
Because listen, I have all these like harebrained ideas. Like I'm super like right-brained and like grabbing it. Like I have a podcast for crying out loud. I'm an English teacher. Do you know what I mean? So I have all these like wild ideas that tend to work out. And but she's like, hey, we need a toilet. Dude, the toilet was $1,000 for the toilet.
Is it gold?
It's not. It's designed for yachts. It's like a thing that's designed for yachts, and
So
I mean that's what it is. So the last for the last 3 or 4 years, we've done super long road trips, seen the country.
Wow. Did your house ever break down?
No. Well, she actually put her foot through the windshield this year. She was watching. Have you guys seen How I Met Your Mother?
Not enough.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter because it's not that funny. She thinks it's hilarious. And we were in the middle of the high desert driving, and I'm listening to a podcast. We were talking about podcasts. I was listening to one. And she giggled, and she had her feet rested on the windshield, and she just giggled too hard, cracked the window like the size of my laptop screen. And then we're, 3,000 miles from home, have no idea what to do. Called the insurance company. We're talking insurance talk. Welcome to the Aaron Wayne podcast, insurance talk.
Believe it or not, that's not the first. Believe it or not, I have known someone to put a foot through my own car windshield before.
Really?
But it wasn't because they were laughing. It's because the polar opposite. They were pissed.
Yeah, that's normally the story, right? Like I'm gonna break your windshield. Yeah, but that's what we've been up to. And you guys made a killer song with Back of the Line. I mean, that song, I listened to it 3 times this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, accidentally at first, just to be honest.
Oh, that's
Not.
What did you mean to listen to? That's what I want to
Who
know.
turned the repeat on?
I meant to listen to that, and then I play music for my kids while they write in the classroom, so my Spotify is automatically set to do repeat. They played it again. I got to the end of it. I was like, I actually want to run through that again. The first time I got teary-eyed. The line, and like it was quoted in something that was written up about you guys. The line, and you know it better than I do because you're probably gonna sing it tonight, or maybe not. But
maybe, yeah.
Well, now we kind of have to.
The line, like I'm afraid that I'm gonna lose the people I love and the things that we had, and then the line, something to the effect of like, I just want to touch another person or at least see their face.
Right.
And that was like, for me as a public school teacher, I'm still teaching. I will never stop teaching. Right. This podcast could be huge. My yoga business could be. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
I'm gonna be teach for the rest of my life. It's what I love. And I've been looking at these kids behind masks for 2 years. And then when I heard that line, it was like super resonant for me. And I was like, like, you know what I mean? I like had this experience of like, yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, man, and I think that obviously for lyrics and songs in general, everything always means something different for people.
And that's what I tell my kids, not to interrupt you, but like when I talk about writing, and I can't write a song. I've tried in college, but it's not.
Some people say that I also can't write a song, so it's fun.
But writing, I teach writing and I write, and one of the things that is a mark of good writing is that it's sufficiently ambiguous enough for an individual to take their experience and sublimate it into that lyric or
What a great way to put it.
poetry or story or whatever.
So I do have a bunch of songs that it's clear that this is exactly what this is about, and I have tried over a little bit more recent years to write a little bit more openly simple, so that it's a little bit more accessible for people in their own worlds and what's going on with their lives. And Back of the Line, for me, was written about missing friends and family. I'm an only child. My parents are some of the only family members I have, and I live in a world normally where I see my parents almost once a week, and I talk to them almost every day, and to be used to seeing somebody once a week to then only see 4 months later, it was a long time, 4 months, and for people listening, 4 months, I mean, like 4 months, I didn't see my parents for a year, and so that was, when I wrote that was kind of what was going through my mind.
I'm curious because, Jack London, you guys know the writer Jack London,
Yeah.
Call of the Wild, Need to Build a Fire. So Jack London says, don't wait for inspiration to take place. Go searching for it with an axe. So, and punchline is, he's saying like, go find the inspiration. And so I'm just curious like what the writing process is like as a musician or as a songwriter. Like, is it wait till you have that intense experience and get into it, or is it like a daily, like I'm writing something daily
I think
or
that,
weekly? I don't know. I'm not a musician, bro. I'm just trying to figure it out.
But to be any kind of creative person, I think sometimes, unfortunately, creativity comes through some sort of experience, and oftentimes the experience is a sad experience,
Yeah.
I have a ton, I joke about it a lot, I have a ton of songs that are written about ex-girlfriends, because I think for a lot of my creativity has come through needing the ability to diary something because I had to get something out because I was feeling so bad about something. Truthfully, between the last time you saw me, we were here with a 5-piece because I was here with a woman that I had been dating for 5 years. I am no longer dating her as of about 4-5 months ago.
Okay.
And that's been a really tough time for me. But with that said, like I've written songs since then. It's a weird thing as an artist sometimes. Your happiest times is your driest creativity.
Yeah.
You don't want to live in the constant state of sadness, but sometimes for some people, unless you're just like a creative machine,
Some people
which
are, I guess,
those people exist. But for me, like a lot of times, the most creative stuff I've had has come through moments where I needed to get something out. I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
Well, no, certainly knowing your music, that is something that motivates a lot of your music. But one of the things that I've been impressed by, because I have tried to write songs and I've done kind of the same thing, like when I have feelings. I need to
All
write a
these
song about
feelings. What did I do to them?
But you've written songs that are not about even your own experiences.
That's true.
Like you put yourself into like someone else's shoes and write a song from their perspective. Or
Well, you've said it
I'm
before.
thinking of like Bright Side. I'm thinking of the new one of like This Town. That's not about
Back
you
of the
or
Line
anybody
is
you
the
know.
same way. Back of the Line is about other people. I have a lot of songs that are like each verse. This is a very kind of like hip hop kind of thing, where like each verse is about a different person, and then the chorus is about that all together kind of theme.
Yeah.
Back of the brick by brick is another is one, and then I can't remember. There's another one.
I was thinking of Bright
But
Side.
the Bright Side is another one. By the way, the Bright
Bright
Side
Side's
is
a
a song
banger,
that we
man.
played 2 years ago here, and that song is actually modeled after Ed Asner sitting at a bar giving people advice at a bar. And I say that only because he just recently died, like as of like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
I think. But I don't know, man. I mean, you do creative things. Like, don't you get inspired in weird times?
Yeah, actually, and
What
that's
inspired you to do a podcast?
I just talk. I just talk and talk and talk, and I can't stop talking.
But there must have been a moment where you're like, maybe
there was a realization that the way that I understand my thoughts is by saying them out loud, and I find that oftentimes I don't actually know what it is that I'm thinking and feeling until I can articulate it verbally.
Right.
And so, that was bleeding into my public school teaching. It was bleeding into my yoga teaching, and especially yoga, because there's so much, like the yoga, we do yoga and we move the body and all this, but then there's so many philosophical precepts within that structure that create a situation where a teacher could be giving like things to ponder, things to think about. And I was noticing that I was in a situation where I was over explaining things in my yoga classes, and I realized that I was doing that as a tool in order for me to further understand my own emotional state instead of actually giving my yoga students the things that they're looking for. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And so I created the podcast as a way for me to sort of communicate with people that are doing interesting things. And then I do once a week. I also just do a solo podcast for like 30 or 40 minutes, and it's just me just running. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I think that the darkness that we all contend with is inspirational, but then the live stuff, man. And like we'll wrap here in a second because I want to make sure you guys have time to get ready for your show. But the vibrant.
Rush, by the way.
Okay, cool. Right on. Cool. The vibrancy that you guys bring on stage is it's insane.
We were talking right before you started rolling tape. Josh was about to tell something. I was like, maybe we should wait to say this until we record. Last year, 2 years ago when we played here, no one was under the tent when we started playing. Right?
Yeah.
And there's not very often where we've played like a festival where we're like, let's start with a cover because we're an original band. Like, let's start with a cover of a song of our own. But I was like, maybe we should play something that people know and hope that they can hear it from wherever they happen to be.
Yeah, because we were in the side tent,
We're in the
right?
band's
And
tent.
yeah, and people were out at the main stage grooving to I don't know who it was, whoever awesome band was playing, and
Which song did we play?
I think it was "I Will Survive."
Yeah.
I think you go. At first, I was afraid, I was petrified,
That was
and just
exactly
like people
it.
started streaming into the
Dude,
tent.
that was exactly it. And I was going to get a beer, and you guys had started playing that. I think to your point, I was like up here in front of the main thing, and then I was getting a beer, and then you started playing that song, and it 100% worked. It was like your trick, perfect, because it pulled me and my wife in, and we ended up dancing for your whole set. And we stayed in that tent for the show after you, which was a guy named Jay Brave, who was a hip hop artist.
Nice.
Who I've connected with. He's just like a really cool, interesting guy. Speaking of hip hop, your music, lyrically, even in the stuff that isn't overtly hip hop, the rhythm that you write your music in is hip hop. So like, I don't even have a question. I just like observe that and I notice that. So I don't know if you have thoughts on
When
it.
I was a kid, I listened to a lot of G-Love.
I love G-Love. Yeah.
Which is why we have an upright bass player. I mean, now we have an upright bass player because we're more of an Americana band, string band, and that makes sense. But for years, we were just the Justin Trawick group before it was Justin Trawick and the Common Good.
Yeah.
And I had an upright bass player specifically because I grew up listening to G-Love, and he had an upright bass player, and I thought that was a really cool sound, but also a really cool image. And you were talking about branding earlier, like, music, when you're trying to sell yourself, you have to sell yourself on all angles. Music being one of them, but also being fun funny and talking on stage being another one, and then also just visuals. And people want to see things that they don't see in normal life. And an upright bass is huge, and it's
And a
big,
flautist.
and it's loud.
Yeah.
All those things. I don't know. We've been doing this for so long. Is your wife gonna be here this time?
Yeah, she's taking a nap in the van right now because she didn't sleep well last night.
Oh.
She's taking a little nap, and then we're gonna come back out and cut it up with you guys.
Yeah. What do you think about flutes being in bands? I feel like that's a divisive thing, but
Well, I don't know who's got a problem with it because I love it. It sounds great, and I love the idea of using instruments that are not typically associated with band, like bass, guitar, drummer. You know what I mean? Lead
Right.
singer. Like I just love the idea of people injecting different instruments into it, like a mandolin or a flute or a piano. Like Back of the Line's got a piano through that.
Eli Staples is playing piano.
Yeah, and it sounds great. And I just love that idea. Honestly, if I can be frank with you guys, I don't know what the hell Americana means, but I know that I like the music you guys play.
Americana is essentially like all-encompassing. It's a very kind of lame term because it's just like I can't figure out what we're gonna call.
Are you playing an acoustic guitar?
Yeah.
It's Americana.
When people ask me what type of yoga I teach, I have no idea how to answer it, and it ends up being like a 2-minute discussion at minimum to explain like how I teach, and I reckon it's probably almost the exact same thing as a band because you're not bluegrass, you're not rock, you're not pop, you're not like there's so many different things. You know what I mean?
There was so a couple weeks ago when Biz Markie passed away, Maxim magazine collected a few like tribute videos, and they included a video of us doing Just a Friend.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is an Americana version, and they put the Americana word Americana
Quotations.
in quotes,
Yeah.
as if that was like a made-up term.
Yeah.
They also said that was worse.
Oh yeah, they said this Americana version for some reason.
It was very much a backhanded compliment, but you could definitely file that under any press is good press, I guess, because it was Maxim magazine.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
yeah.
I've never imagined myself. I mean, it wasn't print; it was online. But seriously, like we can now say that we've been featured in Maxim magazine.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, fellas, as I look at my audio levels, I think this band, I think you guys are right. I should have taken your advice. You guys are the musicians, but I think we're gonna have to wrap it, man. And okay. I'm stoked for the show tonight. I'm gonna drop all this up in the van, stretch it out a little bit, and I'm gonna come out and I don't know, maybe catch some video, tag some video onto this, and put it on the podcast for you guys. What's I mean, you can say it. I mean, it's a little low, but I'll definitely put links. Like, how do you guys want people to get in touch with you guys?
My website is justintrawick.com, TRAWICK. Instagram and Twitter are both at Justin Trawick, and Facebook is facebook.com/Justin Trawick Music.
Yeah. And then the band stops, right? So we got the plug-in at least. Before the band. And then they're back. Yeah. All right, look, fellas.
Go get a beer and start grooving.
Yeah, let's grab a beer. Hey, thanks for doing this, fellas. I appreciate it. So, all right. Thanks, man. Yeah.